Yes, thank you very much for the kind invitation to speak at the 5-year anniversary of the Luxembourg Green Exchange. Apologies for not being able to be there with you in person. A video message is always a little bit of a challenge to make that exciting, but I'll do my best. 5 years already. I have to say that in many ways, sustainable finance still feels quite fresh to me. And it feels like it was almost yesterday that the Green Exchange was launched. But as I was preparing for this speech, I actually came to realize that in many other ways, 5 years is actually quite a significant amount of time, especially when we're looking at the challenges ahead. The latest UNFCCC report is quite bleak in that regard. Based on the latest nationally determined contributions, though not every country has yet submitted them, emissions are actually expected to increase by 16% until 2030. However, if we want to be on track to be on a 1.5 degree pathway, emissions will need to decline by 45% until 2030. So we have 8 years left, 8 years to go from 16% increase to a 45% decrease. I guess 5 years is indeed quite a significant amount of time after all. And what the report also shows is that actually we simply just need to do a lot more. And we need to do it a lot faster. Europe's ambitious net zero strategy for 2050 is a very important step in the right direction. It's clear to everyone in this audience, I'm sure, that the financial sector has a crucial role to play. We must shift the trillions, phase out brown finance, and unlock finance for innovative green projects. And the good news is that a lot of financial institutions are committing to align their financial portfolios to a Paris-aligned and net zero future. And portfolio alignment and scenario analysis tools can play, hopefully, a useful role in that regard to help these financial institutions transition their balance sheets. A fundamental component in portfolio alignment tools are sectoral decarbonization pathways. To know whether financial institutions are aligned with a net zero future, we need to know what that future world will look like. And simply knowing that emissions overall will need to go down is not enough. Because what needs to happen to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement is different per sector. Some sectors need to decarbonize faster than others. Some sectors, for example, already have a zero or low carbon alternative, such as power, versus steel, where steel does not yet exist at scale. And so power needs to decarbonize faster. Some sectors need to reform, such as, for example, the auto industry, while others simply need to phase out completely, such as the extraction of fossil fuels. And so measuring alignment requires actually to take a deeper look at what needs to happen in these sectors and your exposures to these sectors. At 2 Degrees Investing Initiative, a nonprofit, non-commercial think tank, we have developed a tool that does just that. The open source and free of charge Paris Agreement Capital Transition Assessment Tool, also known as PACTA. And PACTA compares what needs to happen in a sector to decarbonize with what the companies in your portfolio are planning to do for the coming 5 years. For example, how many electric cars is Volkswagen planning to produce? And is that enough to be Paris aligned? How fast is Enel phasing out coal power? And is that in line with net zero requirements? And how many barrels of oil is Shell still planning to take out of the ground? And how does that compare to what, for example, the IEA allows for? Now, I'm proud to say that in cooperation with the Luxembourg Ministry of Finance and the Luxembourg Sustainable Finance Initiative, we are offering this tool to any and all interested financial institutions in Luxembourg. This is part of a free, voluntary, and coordinated effort. And each investor will get a confidential report showing the alignment of their financial portfolios to the Paris Agreement, as well as the ability to compare their results anonymously with their peers. And this is part of a wider initiative that we're doing across the globe, in which we measure the alignment of the entire financial sector of a country. In Europe, we've already run the analysis in Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and Austria, and this year it's Norway and Luxembourg. But we're also running the program in various Latin American countries. Now, before rounding off, I just wanted to turn back for 1 second to the PACTA approach. You see, the production plans of companies that are an input into the model are based on the physical assets that they own, such as the coal mine, the power plant, the oil field, etc. And this brings me to a very important next step in the analysis that we as an alignment community need to do. Because you see, measuring alignment alone and aligning financial portfolios alone will not be enough to contribute to the Paris Agreement. Because what we're seeing too often is that under investor pressure, companies sell their fossil fuel assets, but they just sell them to another private investor and the assets keep emitting. And so what we will need to do is to actually track the physical assets and understand what is happening with them. Investors should be able to know the difference between a power company that became greener because it sold its coal power plant or because it closed it. And this is the crucial next step that we as a community need to do: tracking of physical assets. Now, to end, I just want to say one thing. I think it's absolutely amazing to see how many financial institutions are committing to align their balance sheets with the Paris Agreement or a net zero by 2050. But we cannot and we must not stop there. Sustainable finance is more than just joining another acronym, even if that acronym is PACTA. It's about actually integrating climate considerations in your investment decisions. And the coming 8 years have got to be all about that, about implementing real change in your investment decisions. And hopefully, the tools, the scenario analysis and portfolio alignment tools can help play a role and help enable financial institutions to do that. Thank you very much for your time.